Hey guys, welcome back to Clubhouse Kids. I'm going to be sharing with you what I'm going to be doing with my infants and toddlers in my home daycare for St. Patrick's Day. So it's a Saturday, but I went ahead and put on my St. Patrick's Day scrub. I wear scrubs during the day for my home daycare, and so I thought, since I'm making a St. Patrick's Day video, I'll wear my little St. Patrick's Day scrub top. And then my little clover earrings. Now, on a typical daycare day, I would not be wearing these, so I'm just wearing them for the video today. So I'm just going to go over what I'm planning on doing with my kids this year for St. Patrick's Day. So if you're interested in that, stick around. So the theme this month is transportation, and so we will only be celebrating St. Patrick's Day. We're going to do it the Friday before St. Patrick's Day. So it's St. Patrick's Day this year falls on a Sunday, so we are going to celebrate on the Friday before that. And so we'll just kind of pause the transportation unit for that day, and we'll just do St. Patrick's Day instead, and then the following week we'll just go back to our normal unit. So in my March curriculum, so every month I just have a binder that shows my curriculum, and in my March curriculum, here, if I go to St. Patrick's Day, here is the lesson plan. And my St. Patrick's Day lesson plans is just a one-day lesson plan. This is what the lesson plan will look like. Now my program, since I just have infants and toddlers, I have kids start usually around 6 weeks through 24 months. And so my St. Patrick's Day lesson plans has enough stuff in it to be able to do for 2 years. So I have 4 activities, and what I would do is I would just rotate those. So like year A, I would do these 2 activities, and then year B, I would do these 2 activities, if that makes sense. And then I would just rotate back and forth. The tot task boxes I do every year. So if you're wanting to use this lesson plan this year, I'm actually going to link it below. It's on my TPT page, and I'm giving this one-day mini unit for free. So you're going to get the layout, you'll get all the activities that I talk about today. So I'm just going to kind of go over this with you guys and just show you what we're going to be doing. So we'll start with my favorite St. Patrick's Day books. And so behind me on this activity table, I have just a whole bunch. I just kind of like threw all our stuff down that we're going to be using so I can just kind of like grab things. So their absolute favorite book is called The Itsy Bitsy Leprechaun. It's by Jeffrey Burton. And I actually have this whole series. We have like the Itsy Bitsy Bunny coming up for spring. Right now with transportation, we have one called the Itsy Bitsy School Bus. And they have loved every single one of these books. So it just kind of goes along with the little nursery rhyme, the Itsy Bitsy Spider. So you just kind of like a little sing-song book, and they're just super colorful pictures. They love this book. So we will be reading this book. This is another one of their favorites. It's called 10 Lucky Leprechauns. And we have read this so much, it's actually the paper. I just realized when I was getting set up for this video, one of the pages is coming out, so I'm gonna have to staple this again. But they absolutely love this book. And then the third one that they love is Happy St. Patrick's Day, Curious George. Now this one does have way too many words for infants and toddlers. They would never make it through. So what they like to do is I kind of just make up my own little story and read it to them. But they love to turn the pages. So if you can see on the side, this is what they really like. Like, it's just, they're cute little pages to turn and little shapes and stuff there. But this is a cute book too. So these are their 3 favorite. So that's the ones that I added to the little lesson plan. And I keep looking down because I have my binder down here so I can kind of stay on task and go through all of this stuff with you guys. On the lesson plan, I have our song. So we usually have like a song a week that we're focusing on, and then I have some other songs that we sing during circle time and stuff. So it's on St. Patrick's Day, and it's sung to the mulberry bush. I'm not going to sing it for you guys. I will sing to my infants and toddlers, but I will not sing on YouTube. So the words are on there, and you can practice that before you practice it with your kids. And then we are going to work through 3 tot task boxes, and I will show you what we're going to do for each of those. And I think for the rest of the video, I think I might switch it around and just point the camera to the table and go over the stuff instead of trying to hold everything up. Okay, that seems to work pretty well. So box 1 of my Tot Task is a Shamrock counting. So it's these cards that have numbers 1 through 5, and you know your group. So if 1 through 5 is too many, you can just do 1, 2, and 3. But it goes up to 5, and what they would do is use these glittery clovers to count how many. So this is 5, so they would put 5 clovers on the counting mat, and then you could count it with them. So just like that, and then they would do the same for each of the counting mats, and you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now on the download of my lesson plans, I did just use just some clover clip art if you wanted to just cut those out and laminate them and use them with that. Or I got these at the dollar store, and that's what I'm going to be using for my counting mats. And they were just came in a pack, just a whole bunch of the shamrocks together, and they're super glittery and really fun looking. And the nice thing about them is like the glitter is not really coming off. So I like glitter, but I don't like glitter everywhere. So these are really sparkly, but they're not going to be coating everybody in glitter. So that is Tot Task Box 1. Tot Task Box 2 is a rainbow that we're going to be doing. This one I got off of Amazon. I know, like, if you type in like Montessori, you know, wooden rainbow, there's so many different kinds that are made. This one is not the most, like, these things can be crazy expensive. This one was like $20. It was not very much. So we will just be making a rainbow, so just kind of using it for just a size sorting activity. This one's pretty well made. I'll link this one below where I got it, because I'm not kidding you. I was looking at some that were like $50, $60 for these little wooden rainbows, and that is insane. Like, the kids, this one will just work just fine. So I think they're really gonna like this. So that will be our Tot Task Box 2. And then Tot Task Box 3 is going to be a sensory bin. Now I have kind of an older group currently right now, so we're going to use like some Lucky Charms in our sensory box, and all my kids are old enough that if they eat this, it's okay. If you have a younger group, I don't like, either they wouldn't do this box, or do something that's maybe not editable or something like that. So we will be pouring this in our sensory box. And then I found these bracelets at the Dollar Tree. I think they're really gonna enjoy these. I'm gonna throw these into the sensory box. And then I have these little leprechauns that I have had for years. You can see how their faces have been a little bit chewed on and stuff, but the kids love these leprechauns. I'm not quite sure where I got these. I mean, I've literally had these for years. But anything that has like these porcupine balls on it, my infants and toddlers just love playing with them. So I'm going to put this into our bin, and then we have a couple, currently when I'm making this video, there's a couple more weeks before St. Patrick's Day. So next time I go to the store, I might buy like a couple, like maybe little spoons, like green spoons or little cups or something to put in here as well. But that is going to be just a fun little sensory box to play in. So this will be Tot Task Box number 3. Other things I will go over, there we go, is I will go over the 4 activities up here. So activity 1 is shamrock counting, and then I have that stuff up here. So it looks like this. And so with my infants and toddlers, we are always working on manipulating and working with numbers 1, 2, and 3. So there's all different kinds of ways that you can do this activity. I think on my lesson plans, I said to use the dot markers. My kids, anything that I use a pull out the dot markers for, they absolutely love. So how I would do it with the dot marker is, you know, we'd say, you know, 1, 2, and then 3, and they'd get to dot it. Another thing that you could use, and so if you didn't want to use the dot markers, is palms. And so I went ahead and grabbed 3 different colors so that they can kind of see the difference between number 1, number 2, and number 3. So you could either glue them on here, or if you wanted to like not send home this activity with the kids, you could always laminate this and use it just as a counting mat, and they could just use these over and over again to work on numbers 1, 2, and 3. And then another thing you could always use on these is just some stickers to put in the spaces. So you can get really creative with this while you're working with teaching them numbers 1, 2, and 3. And then the next 2 activities I have are art projects that use the same printable. So the printable just looks like this, and it's just a clover. So the first one that you can do is just a shamrock mosaic, which is just gluing like squares onto the shamrock. And with this age, infants and toddlers, they really enjoy just kind of gluing stuff on paper. That's something they can do on their own. So how I would do this is I would just take a glue stick and I would put glue basically all over it so it's sticky, and then they would just get a pile of, actually what I'm using is like paint samples from the paint store. And then I would just cut these up into squares, and the paint samples works really nice because you can get all different kinds of shades of green going. And then they would just basically kind of, all they have to do, since the glue's on there, is they would just have to kind of just stick it down here, and it's going to stick for them. And they can just decorate their little clover however they want. And then the second art project with the same printable is to paint the child's hand green, and then you're just going to stamp it like 3 different times. So you're gonna go 1, 2, and 3. And I had a little model on Friday. I will show you her picture. Isn't she adorable? And she went ahead and did this art project early for me so you guys could see it. So this was her little art project that she did. So you can see how adorable that is with their little handprints. So that is the 2 art projects you can do using that same printable. And then the last activity, what is called Lucky Shapes. And this printable, my little model helped me with this one on Friday. She did this one a little early too. I told her she could do it again when we did it as a class. So, but this is the printable here. And what I do, since my kids are not using scissors yet, is before we do the activity, I would cut the paper here and cut out all the shapes, and then they would only be matching the shapes up. So what they did was, or what they will do is just take the shapes and match them up to here. And then this is the paper that she did on Friday. So I just handed her a shape. So I'd be like square, and I'd hand her the square, and she would just put it in the square, and you know, oval, and so on. So she really liked this one. All right, so that's what I'm planning on doing with my kids for St. Patrick's Day. So that Friday before, we will basically just, this is what we'll do for class. And then the following Monday, we'll just go back to our transportation unit. So thanks for watching this video, guys. If you guys are interested in any of these printables, head to my TPT store and download them. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.